assist in war zones. And it seems to be dragging even beyond that at this point, to the point that we are now certainly questioning some of the constitutionality of the tactics that they use. So first question, like, have you had any overlap in anything you've done where Palantir's involved?
Sure. So
now, what were you going to say? What was the other example you were giving about the chats or whatever a minute ago? Where I took it in the other direction, but you were like, and then they get access to your Apple chats or something?
Yeah. I mean, if you're backing everything up to iCloud,
yeah,
and that's retained, they issue a warrant for iCloud, and whatever is there, your calendar, chats, anything that's backed up to iCloud, your pictures, photos, that would be stipulated in the warrant. And Apple would review it. They get a lot of them every day. Google gets a lot of those every day. And if it's correct and their legal team, yep, this is a proper warrant, they comply.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine get an email recently, not about him, but related to discovery for some random person who had emailed him once, and Google went to him and said, "Hey, doesn't involve you at all, but just letting you know,
that you were
named on the discovery because you're one of like a million people this person emailed. So when we pull that email, we're giving it to FBI, but it has nothing to do with you, and there's no action for you to take, and you're not going to hear from FBI." But I was like, that's kind of a spooky email to get, like fuck.
Yeah, do you get a criminal defense lawyer when you get that kind of email?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. And then he talked to someone and they're like, no, you're fine. Yeah. But that's an example of like the thing they get every day, where some of them, they're like, yep, that makes sense. We can hand that over. Yeah. So the other one we haven't really talked about, we didn't get into it last time, made a couple jokes about it, was Palantir. Mm-hmm. They're obviously quite in the crosshairs of a lot of things. You got one co-founder giving speeches on the Antichrist to people. Yeah. And then you got another co-founder who has so much tism mixed with, I don't know, sociopathy that it scares the shit out of me when he talks, the carp guy. And you have a company that essentially was invested in by COINTELPRO or?
Incutel.
Incutel, sorry, yeah. Incutel, which is like the CIA's VC branch. And they utilize drones and surveillance and AI on top of those things to, assist in war zones. And it seems to be dragging even beyond that at this point, to the point that we are now certainly questioning some of the constitutionality of the tactics that they use. So first question, like, have you had any overlap in anything you've done where Palantir's involved?
Sure. So I think, there's collection where you're collecting data, whether it's, through drones or intercepts, and that data goes into a government server, and Palantir basically sits on top of that and is the dashboard, the front end to that data. I am not aware of Palantir doing collection, but they are, their AI product is, a product that requires training, and that gets into the question of, human in the loop, and what is it deciding to do, and, is the AI launching drone strikes? And I don't know of any situation in which AI went haywire and launched a strike without a human pushing the button. It may do optimal target selection. Or
optimal target selection, meaning like, here's 5 different options. This is the best one based on the data?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. This is, and when I say optimal target selection, it's not, let's pick the guy we want to engage. It's, this is the optimal conditions by which we can engage because it's open area. We have access. It's optimized for maximum effects.
Do you worry about the reach that they have?
So I think we talked about this last time, and I know a lot of people shit on them, and I've never worked for them, and I don't own stock, but they arrived and became a force because they didn't come up with fancy sales presentations. They solved the commander's problem like in a day or two. The commander's problem was, I have all of this data that we're collecting, ISR data, cell phone data. I have all of this data, but I have to go to 10 different systems in order to see what is happening in my theater of operations.
Right.
Palantir solved that by integrating all of those various data sets into a language that could then be rendered in this common operating picture, this dashboard visualization of all of the data that a commander could look and see. I've got this going on. I've got that going on. I have this common place to understand all of these data sets, and it's a data fusion capability. And they solved that. They solved that where, nobody else was solving that. And they solved it very elegantly, with engineers interfacing with the customer first, as opposed to, a salesperson giving a fancy presentation promising that we could do all this. And they were like, yeah, we can do this.
That part doesn't surprise me because it's birthed by people who came from the venture capital and tech world in Silicon Valley.
They totally disrupted, and that's why one day there wasn't Palantir.
Yes.
And the next day it's like program of record, program of record, program of record.
But when you have a company that is effectively, literally financially tied to the government, one of the people running it is a dude who funds a lot of campaigns and is highly politically active, in Peter Thiel. And they have the power that they do, and then even start openly discussing it in relation to like flying it over protests and inside the United States to collect data.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not even defending people that go to those types of things, but they are, the ones that are not violent, are practicing their First Amendment rights. Like, it gets really weird when a tool like that that's supposed to be used to solve commanders' issues on the battlefield around the world, which would make sense, is now being used here.
A node for ISR. And
yes.
Yeah. I wonder about that if that's because they're not newly publicly traded, but whether that's part of their, they're a publicly traded company. So, they need to move that needle every day. But if law enforcement makes the decision that we're going to fly drones over a protest, and the way in which we're viewing that data is through Palantir, Palantir isn't the privacy issue or the violation of your rights. It's the decision to surveil this protest.
Yes.
That's
I see what you're saying.
And everything, around surveillance, like there are the tools to do it, and there will be vendors who will enable that. It's the decision to implement these solutions, these technologies. And I'm sure when you have a protest and there are going to be 50,000 people, you're going to want to have some overwatch. You're going to want to have some airborne ISR keeping an eye on things, because you don't have enough cops to put out there.
But what's the line on what it keeps access on?
But if by virtue, if you are guilty by being at that protest.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.